Have you ever wondered what would happen if China successfully invaded the Philippines? Imagine a scenario where this geopolitical chess move turns into reality. The immediate aftermath would not just be a local issue, but a shockwave that reverberates across the globe. Nations near and far would find themselves having to rapidly respond to a dramatically altered power landscape in Southeast Asia. To fully grasp the magnitude of this hypothetical situation, we need to consider the enduring tensions and the intricate dance of diplomacy between China and the Philippines. For decades, these two nations have navigated a complex web of disputes over territorial waters, most notably in the South China Sea. These waters are not just lines on a map, but pivotal routes for international trade, and rich in natural resources. The political landscape between China and the Philippines has been equally charged, marked by a tug-of-war between sovereignty and regional influence. The Philippines, backed by historical ties and international law, stands firm on its territorial claims, while China's strategic ambitions paint a different picture of dominance and control. But what goes beyond the immediate military victory? Let's delve deeper. Consider the economic repercussions for China. Would it truly be a victory? Let's delve into that question. Firstly, let's talk about the international response that might follow such an aggressive move. Western countries, along with numerous international bodies, are likely to impose severe sanctions. These sanctions could range from trade embargoes to financial restrictions, significantly hindering China's economic interactions on a global scale. History has shown us that international sanctions can cripple a nation's economy, resulting in inflation, scarcity of goods, and a depreciating currency. Moving on to trade disruptions, China stands as a titan in global markets, particularly in sectors such as technology and manufacturing. An invasion could lead to a drastic decline in foreign investment and a re-evaluation of trade agreements by key trading partners. Companies around the world might seek to minimize risk by reducing their dependency on Chinese manufacturing, turning instead to other markets to ensure stability and compliance with international law. Furthermore, consider the impact on global supply chains. China is intricately woven into the supply networks of countless industries worldwide. Any disruption due to geopolitical instability can lead to significant bottlenecks. For instance, Southeast Asian nations, which are crucial nodes in these networks, might face pressure to choose sides, potentially leading to further fragmentation of supply lines. And what of the broader economic landscape? The ripple effects of such disruptions are vast. Investors' confidence could wane, stock markets might react negatively, and the overall economic growth of China could stall. This scenario paints a stark picture of an economy battling isolation, internal strife, and dwindling global influence. Economic isolation might just be the beginning. What about the costs of occupation? Occupying a country is no small feat. What costs could China incur? Let's delve into the financial aspects first. The cost of maintaining an occupation goes far beyond the initial military expenditure. There are the ongoing expenses of administration, infrastructure repair, and the necessity to support a foreign administration. The burden of these costs can quickly balloon, draining national coffers and diverting funds from domestic projects. But the ledger of occupation includes more than just financial entries. The human cost is perhaps the heaviest toll. History teaches us that military occupations often lead to significant loss of life and widespread humanitarian crises. The local population may suffer from shortages of basic necessities like food, water, and medical care, exacerbating the human tragedy. Furthermore, resistance tends to rise swiftly in occupied territories. In the Philippines, with its rich history of guerrilla warfare, this could manifest intensely. Prolonged conflicts with local resistance movements not only strain military resources but also deepen the cycle of violence, leading to further loss of life and suffering on all sides. The drain on resources could be immense, but there's more to consider. How might international relations shift in response to such an aggressive move? It's a question that looms large in the shadow of a hypothetical invasion of the Philippines by China. The geopolitical landscape of Southeast Asia known for its strategic maritime routes and economic vitality, would experience seismic shifts. Firstly, let's consider the immediate neighbors. Nations within Southeast Asia might find themselves compelled to rethink their alliances. Historically, these countries have maintained a delicate balance between fostering relations with both Western powers and China. However, an overt act of aggression could tilt the scales, pushing them towards stronger military and economic ties with other global powers like the United States, Japan, and Australia, in a bid to safeguard their own sovereignty. This realignment could further trigger an arms race in the region. Concerned about their security, countries may ramp up their defense budgets, procure advanced weaponry, and increase military drills. This isn't just about preparing for potential conflicts. It's also a clear signal to deter any thoughts of further territorial encroachments. Moreover, the role of international law and entities like the United Nations becomes crucial in such turbulent times. The world would watch closely as the UN Security Council convenes emergency sessions to address the breach of international norms. Sanctions might be imposed, and diplomatic isolation could become a stark reality for China. Yet, the effectiveness of these measures often hinges on the unity and resolve of the international community, which varies widely based on geopolitical interests. But let's not overlook the broader implications. Europe, for instance, while geographically distant, could see this as a litmus test for global order. The European Union, already navigating complex relations with China, might find itself in a position where it needs to bolster its foreign policy stance, potentially leading to a reevaluation of trade agreements and diplomatic engagements. The ripple effects on global stability are profound. And speaking of stability, before we continue, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Don't miss out on delving deeper into intriguing topics like this one. Tap subscribe and ring that bell for a wealth of insightful content at your fingertips. Now, back to the impacts of this hypothetical scenario. Let's consider the military repercussions for China. Engaging in a conflict with the Philippines isn't merely a matter of deploying troops and expecting a swift victory. It involves a substantial drain on military resources and manpower that could stretch China's capabilities to their limits. Imagine the vast quantities of resources required to maintain a prolonged occupation, from personnel to weaponry, and logistical support to sustain operations across the South China Sea. This isn't just about the initial deployment. It's about sustaining forces far from home, in an environment where local resistance might require a heavy and continuous presence. The drain on China's military could redirect resources from other critical areas, potentially weakening its position in other regional conflicts or its border defenses. Furthermore, such an aggressive move could trigger a domino effect, drawing regional allies into the fray. Countries with mutual defense treaties and those within the sphere of influence might not stand idly by. This could escalate into a wider conflict, pulling resources further thin and spreading them across multiple fronts. The involvement of additional nations would not only complicate the military strategy, but also increase the risks and costs of the conflict exponentially. The digital battlefield presents another frontier. In today's world, technological warfare and cyber attacks are as pivotal as ground troops. An invasion could lead to a surge in cyber warfare, targeting critical infrastructure and government networks, not just in the immediate area, but potentially globally, depending on the alliances and the extent of the conflict. A prolonged military engagement could weaken China's global stance. It's a multifaceted issue that extends beyond the immediate military victories to long-term global positioning and strength. The consequences are profound, affecting not just the battlefield, but the global perception and influence of China as a dominant power. We've explored several daunting scenarios that could unfold from China's invasion of the Philippines. Let's take a moment to recap the main points we've discussed. Firstly, the economic sanctions that would likely cripple not just the economies of the involved nations, but also impact global markets. The cost of occupation itself, both financially and morally, would weigh heavily on China, draining resources and manpower. Secondly, we delved into the chaos it would wreak on international relations. Allies and adversaries alike would be forced to re-evaluate their positions, potentially leading to a more divided world. The military strain, too, cannot be overlooked. Stretching an army thin across new territories invites not only logistical nightmares but also opens up vulnerabilities elsewhere. Reflecting on these points, it becomes clear that the broader implications of such actions threaten global peace and security. The ripple effects of warfare extend far beyond the immediate battlefield, reminding us that in our interconnected world, no nation truly wins in war. Subscribe for more amazing content and keep wondering about the world around us. Don't miss out on future explorations and discoveries. Hit subscribe and ring the bell to stay updated with our new content. Your journey of wonder continues with every video. Stay connected and engaged on social media. Continue the conversation, follow us. Thank you for being a part of the Have You Ever Wondered community. Keep wondering, keep discovering. Until next time.